Ever get that feeling like you're checking the news and it's all just on edge? Like one wrong step and everything goes, I don't know, boom.
Yeah, I get it.
Well, get ready, because today we are diving headfirst into something that keeps a lot of people up at night: nuclear war.
Buckle up.
We're talking about the potential for it, the trends that are pushing us closer to the edge, the whole 9 miles.
Right.
And to guide us through this cheery topic, we have trends forecaster Gerald Celente. And let me tell you, this guy does not mince words.
He really doesn't.
He says straight up,
Ah,
the world is closer to nuclear conflict than it's been since, well, since the Cold War.
we've got all your research on Celente right here.
And that's what we're digging into today.
Let's do it.
Okay, so Celente lays out this whole case for why he thinks we're on the brink, and he points to a very specific date as a turning point. Are you ready for this?
I am. Hit me.
February 22nd, 2022.
Wow. Just before.
Right before Russia invaded Ukraine. That's when he says things fundamentally shifted. We went from this post-Cold War era where, yeah, there were conflicts, but nothing on this scale.
He's talking about a total power shift on the global stage.
Right. It's not just about the war in Ukraine. It's about what that war
That
represents.
signifies a change in the balance of power, which Celente argues we move from a bipolar world to a multipolar one.
Okay, so explain that. What does he mean bipolar versus multipolar?
So during the Cold War, it was basically two big dogs, the U.S. and the Soviet Union. They had most of the nukes, they called the shots, and everyone else kind of had to pick a side. Bipolar, two poles.
Right, I'm with you.
But now, Celente argues that we've got multiple power centers emerging. China, Russia, even regional players are flexing their muscles. Like the board just got a whole lot more crowded.
A lot more cooks in the kitchen, and not all of them are playing by the same rules.
Exactly. Alliances are shifting constantly. What might seem like a regional conflict could easily explode and drag in other major players.
And the risk of, miscalculation, misunderstanding, just bad decisions, it skyrockets.
Absolutely. And what does that mean for you listening? It means the world just got a lot less predictable.
And a lot more stressful. But Celente doesn't stop there. He's not just some academic putting out problems.
He's got some strong opinions, let's say.
He does. He goes on to say that a lot of our current leaders, I'm quoting here, are gutless boys. Strong words.
He doesn't hold back.
Not at all. He says they're quick to engage in war, but have absolutely no real experience with it.
And he contrasts this with, of all people, George Washington. Like going back to the founding fathers for a reality check.
Yeah, it's kind of a brilliant move when you think about it.
He digs into Washington's farewell address.
Yeah.
The one he gave when he was stepping down as president.
Yeah, over 200 years ago. Talk about old school wisdom.
Right. And the thing is, Celente argues that Washington's warnings about getting mixed up in foreign entanglements, about how alliances can drag you into wars you never wanted, it's more relevant now than ever.
It's kind of terrifying when you think about it, right? Like a message from centuries ago being like, hey, this is how it goes wrong, people.
And he sees America's foreign policy, getting involved in so many different places. He sees that as a recipe for disaster.
Too much interventionism, not enough thinking about the long game.
Exactly. And remember what we were saying about a multipolar world, all these different players with their own agendas. Well, if you've got one country, and Celente would argue that's the U.S., constantly sticking its nose in everyone's business.
It creates instability. It raises the stakes.
Right. And in a world with nuclear weapons, that's a terrifying thought.
So not exactly uplifting stuff, is it?
It's definitely a wake-up call.
So where does he leave us? If this is the situation, what are we supposed to do with this information?
Well, here's the thing. As bleak as Celente's outlook might seem, he's not entirely without hope. He actually believes that understanding these trends, being aware of the dangers, that's the first step to actually changing course.
Okay, so it's not about burying our heads in the sand. It's about facing the reality,
Right. And the demanding better from our leaders.
holding them accountable, making sure they understand what's at stake.
Exactly. Because if they're not learning from the past, from Washington's warnings, from the very real dangers of a world with multiple superpowers all jostling for position, well, then it's up to us, the people, to do the learning and the pushing for change.
Wow. Okay, so that's our deep dive into Gerald Celente's, let's say, bracing take on the world. Definitely a lot to think about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe a little something to keep you up at night. But hey, maybe a little informed insomnia is better than blissful ignorance, right?
Maybe, just maybe. So here's a final thought before you head back to your doom scrolling. What actions, big or small, can you take to become a more informed, more engaged citizen in a world that feels like it's teetering on the edge?
We want to hear from you. Share your thoughts, your anxieties, your hopes for the future, even your completely out there solutions. You never know. Maybe you'll be the one to crack the code on world peace.
Hey, stranger things have happened, right?
They have. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and for goodness sake, try to get some sleep.